Hi everyone, welcome to Basic Science Series. I'm your host Logendra Kumar, and today we're going to discuss the structure and the function of the kidney. As you can see here on this computer screen, I have designed the structure of kidneys, and you can also see on the right side that I have labeled all the components, structural components, and in this video we're going to discuss all these parts as well as their functions in detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to design this structure from scratch. I have these individual components, they are already designed, and I'm going to place them one by one, and we will discuss the function of each structure that you're seeing here so that you can understand the kidneys. So there are a couple of points that I want to discuss before going ahead and designing the structure. When we talk about kidneys, so the kidneys, they are present in invertebrates. They are bean-shaped structure. They are reddish brown in color. So you can see here I have tried to make the kidneys reddish brown in color. And then the lengthwise, the kidneys, they are around 12 centimeter. Another important point that you might be able to see here is the right kidney is slightly placed lower than the left one, than this one. The reason behind this is the lever. The position of the lever causes this particular shift in the position of the kidney. So that's another important point. And when we discuss about kidneys, the important thing, the first thing that comes into our mind is these are the organs that are an important part of the excretory system. And you can see here these important tubes that I've designed. One of them is going to carry the byproduct of the excretion process, and the others, they are basically used to carry the blood and before filtration and the after filtration process. So we'll discuss all these important points in detail. Another important point here that I want to mention is that kidney is very important for the balancing of the electrolyte concentration. It is important for the acid-base balance, and they are also important for the toxin removal from our body. So our body is highly dependent on kidneys because they perform the function of removing the toxin from our system. And when I talk about the toxin removal process, we also call this process the filtration or the ultrafiltration that occurs inside the kidney and happens in glomerulus. Those structures, those cellular structures, we are going to discuss in our upcoming videos. Here we're going to discuss the overall maybe I can say bird eye view of the kidney, and we're also going to discuss the main functions. Another important point here is kidney helps in the reabsorption of the solute-free water, sodium, bicarbonate, glucose, amino acids. These are some of the additional points that I would want to stress on the function of the kidneys. Another important point is kidneys, they are also involved in the hormones biosynthesis. You have erythropoietin, you have renin, they are produced by kidneys, and then you also have nephron inside the kidney. That is important part of the kidney. It is the structural and the functional unit of the kidney. So these are some of the important points that I wanted to discuss. Now as you can see here, its structure is unique. It's bean shaped, it's easy to remember. And I've also shown you these vessels in different color here, and because of that, it will be very easy for you to understand their function and recognize them. So let's start the process of designing this structure. For that, I need to move to my next slide. So this is my next slide, and you can see here I have all the labels that I will use to design the structure. I have all the structural components already designed. So I will start with the outermost structure. In this case, it will also provide me a kind of a layout for the kidney, and you can see it's a bean-shaped structure, right? So if you consider this as a thin-walled structure which is covering the kidney, and that will be the first structure when we try to design the kidney. The outermost covering of the kidney will be the first structure. In this case, renal capsule will be the name of that structure, right? So the renal capsule is the first structural component that we are discussing here, and the renal capsule is basically thin membranous sheath. So it's basically a sheath that covers the kidney, okay, and it is made up of tough fibers like collagen, like elastin. I'm going to label this the outermost layer like this, so you can see the outermost thin layer of the kidney is the renal capsule. And by the way, the renal word is used for kidney, and hepatic word is basically used for the liver components, or the liver. Next, after renal capsule, you'll have renal cortex. And what is renal cortex? It's a very important part of the kidney. Renal cortex is basically the outer portion. So if I bring this structure, which is the medulla in this case, which is the innermost structure here, so you have medulla here, then this outer region is your renal cortex. So let's label this as well. So this region will be the renal cortex region, okay? All right. And what is the basically role of the renal cortex? We will know in detail in our new videos when we'll discuss the cellular structure. But I do want to mention that ultrafiltration is the process that takes place in renal cortex. So if someone is asking you where the ultrafiltration process is taking place inside the kidney, you can immediately answer the renal cortex. Okay, and I've already told you that this is the outer portion, which is basically in between the renal capsule and the renal medulla. And I've also already shown you the structure of renal medulla, and as you can see here, it looks like a two-dimensional structure. Basically, it's not like that. Kidney is three-dimensional structure, and this is just a schematic. So you need to maybe use your imagination to see that inside the kidney you have this three-dimensional medullary structure. And let me label this as well. So this is your renal medulla, and it is because of the three-dimensional structure, it looks like a pyramid. So it's also known as renal pyramids, these individual structures, right? So you have renal cortex, you have renal medulla, and this is where the ultrafiltration is going to take place. Now the inner part of the kidney is the renal medulla. The next important part will be the structure, and as you can see, it's the tubing that is coming out, and it looks like it's collecting something from the renal medulla, right? So maybe I need to shift this whole structure a little bit up so that it's not disorienting everything. Looks like I have designed everything a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna make it a little smaller. Okay, so here, and as you can see, this green colored structure is trying to attach. I'm trying to attach it to the renal medulla. So this is eventually it's going to collect the waste from the medullary region. So it's giving me a hard time, but I think it looks good. So you can see here there are tubings that are running into the medullary region, and then they are collecting and making a tube-like structure, right? So let's see. I think our label also got moved. So, well, this is the part of the process, right? We are designing the structure from scratch. So you have renal capsule, you have renal cortex, and then you have medulla here. And then this is the part where the urine gets collected. So this is the ureter. So I'm going to label this. It's the tube that collects urine here. And then you have these renal calyx structures. And renal calyx, they are basically chambers that are running through, that are running inside the kidney, and they collect the urine, and then urine pass through these structures. So you have minor calyx, you have major calyx. So as you can see, the name indicates minor means the smaller and the major means the larger calyx. So maybe I'll put major calyx here and minor here, because I know that I'm gonna run out of the space here. So maybe I can label this as a minor calyx. Okay, so you have minor calyx, then you have major calyx. So this here might be the major calyx that is collecting the urine, and looks like the outer is also needs to be a little bit shifted, because I'm going to add additional structures, so I need some space. So you have major calyx, you have renal capsule, which is already, I've told you that, which is the thin sheath that covers the kidney. Then you have renal medulla, then you have minor calyx. So as you can see, the structure is getting there. It's giving us that kidney, the appearance of the kidney. So now what we need is the blood inside the kidney. So you need a system that can run blood. So we need the input of the blood as well as the output of the blood. We need a system that can put blood inside the kidney, and we need a system that can take out the blood from the kidney. So to put blood inside the kidney, you have renal artery. So this is the renal artery and its component. So this is the renal artery here. So I'm going to place it and try to adjust it. I've already designed considering these structures. So still I think I need some adjustment here. Okay, that looks fair enough here. So you can see you have a detailed system that is running inside the kidney, and its role is to take the blood inside the kidney. So this is your renal artery, and then with a different color, similar kind of a system is also there. So I will put this in front so it's easy for you to see. Okay, so basically you need another system that will take out the blood, right? So another system here that I'm talking about is the renal vein. So you'll have the network or the web of the vessels that are also collecting the blood. So renal artery is the red one, and vein is basically the violet colored here, this one. So I might have to move this structure. So renal vein, renal artery, let's label these structures. This is your renal artery, and because it got hidden inside that structure. And this one is the renal vein here. So after that, you have these vessels, sub-vessels that are emerging from these arteries here. So let me also label these. So these are your interlobular blood vessels, right? So as I've already told you, the role of these vessels. So let's discuss the first one, renal artery. The role of this particular vessel is to basically provide the blood to kidney, and renal vein will take the blood out from the kidney. And what is the role of ureter? Its role is to basically carry the urine to the bladder. And then we have also discussed the interlobular blood vessels. And what are these? They are basically the vessels of the renal circulation. And I have also designed this in this web of these blood vessels. I don't know if you can see. So they will basically run in the renal cortex region where the filtration is happening. So as you can see here, these minor vessels, they are in red color, they are in also in violet color. So you have this division getting again, distributed to smaller labels. All right, so you have all the components, and then this is the outermost covering. So this will complete the process of making the kidney. So you can see here now I can cover this, and the whole structure is constructed. And if you want to make a model, something like that, so you can cover it with this kind of structure, and then you can move it and show all the components of the kidney. So I'll place it for now here, and this is the final label, that is our kidney. And in this particular process, we have not only designed the whole kidney from the individual parts, we have also discussed their functions. So we have discussed let's revisit everything. So we have discussed the first, that is renal capsule, that is there to protect the kidney. Renal cortex, where the ultrafiltration is happening. You have renal medulla, which is the inner part of the kidney, and we'll discuss its function in our upcoming videos, where we'll have the structures that are there. What are the different structures that are there in medulla and in the cortex? It's very interesting. And then you have major and minor calyx that are basically collecting the urine, and which is ultimately constructing this ureter. And the role of ureter is to transfer the urine from the kidney to the bladder. And then you have this blood vessels. These are different blood vessels that are running into the kidney. You have artery, renal artery, you have renal vein. Renal artery is basically providing the blood to the kidney, and vein is collecting the blood from the kidney. And then basically renal vein, it's going to provide the blood to the inferior vena cava. So you have this detailed system, and it's really important, because without the filtration process, our system is going to accumulate a lot of toxins, and because of the accumulation of the toxins, our body is going to be sick, right? So without kidneys, we cannot survive. We can survive with one kidney, but without both, no one can survive. So this is definitely an important part of our system. And what are the different functions that we already discussed, we'll also discuss at the cellular level in our upcoming videos. So I hope that this video was helpful for you to understand the structure as well as some of the functions that we have discussed. And in upcoming videos, I will be able to provide the detailed information on glomerulus, also on the nephron. So please stay tuned and watch these videos so that you can understand the topics, and I really hope that these videos are going to help you in your studies. So thank you for your support. I'll see you in my next video. Take care.